candidate. I think you've done a great job. You're wonderful. And we certainly certainly welcome you and wish you well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor. And Mayor, thank you for your service. 30 years, right? 30 years in the Army. You know, that's not easy to do. So it's not my first time. It's not going to be my last time here. One of the things, I try to spend a lot of time on the road, getting out into communities, because it's important, right? When I ran for office, I had two goals: be a leader on national security and the gold standard when it comes to constituent relations. And part of constituent relations means being out in the communities, and that's why we do this. This is, what are we on, Tyler? Day three? It's day three of DC2Q. We're making 25 stops, 23 Dairy Queens. I got to make sure I don't get too many belt busters. I'm glad they have a Blizzard Mini now. That's a whole lot of Blizzards. And folks ask me, why Dairy Queens? And it's real simple. There's a Dairy Queen in pretty much every county. And so it's good to be able to, you know, not only tell you all about what's going on up in Washington, D.C. and the work we've been working on, but also to hear from you about your concerns and the issues that you have. We've already learned a lot on this trip, and we're hoping to learn more. What I'm going to do real quick is go into my background. Most of y'all know it. I was born and raised in San Antonio, Leon Valley, a little town inside of San Antonio. Went to Texas A&M University. Got a degree in computer science, Blue King and Maggie's. And I had the honor of serving as student vice president my last year, the year of the bonfire collapse. I'm actually one of the few Aggies that doesn't refer to University of Texas as TU, and part of that is because what the University of Texas did in response in that horrific tragedy is amazing. So after that, I went straight to the CIA. I was the guy in the back alleys at 4 o'clock in the morning collecting intelligence on threats to our homeland. It was a great job. Oh, thank you. 2 years in DC at what I used to call the super secret CIA training facility called the Farm. Now it's on Google Maps. I did 2 years in India, 2 years in Pakistan, 2 years in New York City doing interagency work, and then a year and a half in Afghanistan where I managed all of our undercover operations. And you know, one of the things that I also had to do, in addition to collecting intelligence on threats to the homeland, was briefing members of Congress. And I was pretty shocked at the caliber of our elected officials. So, you know, my mama said, you're either part of the problem or part of the solution. And so I decided to run for Congress. So I moved from Afghanistan to Helotes, Texas, and ran for Congress. And I lost that first election. But I'm thankful for that now, because it gave me the opportunity to join a consulting firm where I became a partner, help companies grow in markets they've never been before, and then I helped start a cybersecurity company from scratch. And it was a great experience starting a company from the ground floor, flat-footed. You know, when you start a company, when you're two guys or two gals in a garage, the first thing you shouldn't have to worry about is a complicated tax code. You should be worrying about how do you provide the best widget, how do you provide the best service, how do you hire the best people, all right? But this overly complicated regulatory environment prevents that at times and hurts businesses from starting and growing, right? Small businesses in Texas are the lifeblood of our economy, and we need to be doing everything we can to support them. We can get into that a little bit further. The opportunity in 2014 came to run, I took it, and we won. I've been in office now for 19 months. I'm on the Homeland Security Committee, and then I chair a subcommittee on information technology, cybersecurity. As y'all know, this district goes from San Antonio to El Paso, down to Eagle Pass. 29 counties, 2 time zones, 820 miles of the border. It takes 10 and a half hours to drive from one corner to the other at 80 miles an hour. And 80 is the speed limit in 75% of the district. But as my chief of staff learned this morning, it's not 80 in all of Texas. So it's a huge district, but we've crisscrossed it dozens of times. You know, I've even been to Loving County twice. Loving County is the second least populated county in the United States of America. 95 people. I've met 72 of them. And the last time I was in Mentone, which is the county seat, I asked the judge, I said, county judge, I said, Judge, there's 13 people I still haven't met. And he goes, Hurd, they don't want to be met. And so I was like, check, I'm going to check that one off. But part of it is understanding what's going on. Right? Part of our job is also to battle the bureaucracy for people that need to fight the bureaucracy. And I couldn't do that alone. I have the benefit of having my name on the door and my name on the signs, right? But it's a team of people that are providing services to the community. And I want to introduce a few key members of that team right now. Stoney Burke is my chief of staff. He's an Aggie. I've known him since he was 14 years old. He ruined my life by suggesting I run for Congress, and I got to ruin his life by making him my chief of staff. So it's great having Stoney on board, someone I trust and know. Daniel Meza from Hebronville, Aggie as well. You got Gig'em. We got a few of us. There's a few of us. Daniel worked for 12 years for Senator John Cornyn, and then he upgraded to our team. I tell that joke when Cornyn's in the room, by the way. So, Daniel has a vast experience and knowledge of the state of Texas, of the federal government, and he's been instrumental in allowing us to get up to speed very quickly. Right? Starting a team from zero, dealing with tens of thousands of requests from 800,000 constituents is not easy. But having someone experienced like Daniel is great. Tyler Lowe, also an Aggie, spent the last year and a half as the counsel for the Homeland Security Committee, which is great, very important for this district, very important for the sheriff, Stone Garden, which is a program where we help get federal funds to local and state law enforcement that have to deal with aspects of border security. Tyler has a lot of experience with that. It's great, and he did his law degree in San Antonio. It's great having him on the team. Jenny Tavares from Fort Stockton. Spent some time at Saul Ross, graduated from the University of Texas at Austin. We have a few Longhorns too. Stoney let him slip in somehow. Jenny is one of our field reps, crisscrosses the district. Francisco is our newest addition. He's in our Eagle Pass office. He has been doing a lot for this part of the district, so he's somebody that y'all should know, and we'll be spending a little bit more time over here as well. Henry Rivera, excuse me. One of our field reps, caseworkers, gets in the weeds, the nitty-gritty when it comes to Social Security, Medicare issues. You know, when you have to battle the bureaucracy, Henry's our guy. And last but not least, John Arnold, Longhorn, obviously, and 9.5-year Army veteran. Has extensive knowledge of the inner workings of the VA. He's our guy that's been helping us make sure the VA is providing the kind of care it should be providing. We're proud that last year in 2015, we closed out 242 veterans cases. Right? We're doing that, about that number this year. And the reality is this, despite Congress having given the VA more money than it's ever gotten, ever. All right? And if anybody says otherwise, they're not telling you the truth. The VA has gotten more money from Congress in the history of the VA. There's still a lot of problems. All right? One of the things, a new program or newer program, is Choice Program, Choice Card. Choice Program is one of these issues where if a veteran has an appointment at the VA that's more than 30 days, you can go and get that health care that it should take care of in the local economy. You can go see a local person if it exists in that community. Or if you're more than 40 miles away from a VA clinic, you can use this program. Now, when it first started, it was rocky. Some of the healthcare providers that were participating weren't getting paid on time. TriWest, which is a company that administers this program, started off with 200 people. They've grown to about 3,000. They're improving their customer relations and making sure that the local folks are connected with the VA. We have a long way to go to get this program where it should be, but it's a good first step in making sure we have a number of tools available to us to make sure our veterans are getting care. Simple things. A lot of veterans have to travel many hours in order to get to the VA. And they were doing that to do something as basic as getting blood drawn. Right? We're working with Del Rio, where we're able to do some of these basic services locally, send that information to the VA to prevent some of our sicker veterans from having to travel long distances and waiting in the waiting room in some of our veteran places. So yeah, it's a big deal, and we're hoping to get this pilot program, show we can do this, show it can work, make sure we connect all the data, and then be able to do it here. And Nora, this may be something we're looking to talk to you about. So this is one way that we advocate. Another way we advocate is for community health centers. Right? One of the first conversations we had, my first trip here is when we visited, and they're talking about how the community health clinics, and there are, Dan, you remember the total number now? It's about 40, I think. And don't quote me on that exact number. We have several dozen community health clinics in the 23rd District of Texas, providing help to hundreds of thousands of people. They were going to get a budget cut, 75%, right? That wasn't 75%? It was only in Washington, D.C. do you say, hey, okay, you've been operating, you do a lot of stuff, you provide a lot of great care for the communities, we're going to cut your budget by 75%. We were able to sort that problem out, right? And we were able to sort that problem out because you have a great champion in Ms. Tellis, right? And literally one of the first things that we were briefed on, and we were able to help sort this problem out. And it did much more. The problem, this was part of the SGR fix. None of y'all have ever heard about this. Maybe some of y'all you know about it. We're pretty bad at naming stuff in Congress. We should have called this increasing access for seniors to good doctors while shaving $5 trillion off the national debt over 15 years, because that's what it did. It was a program that strengthened Medicare to make sure that our seniors on Medicare continue to have access. It fixes CLIF for the community health clinics, and it also helped provide more money for a program called Medicare Advantage, which is a program where it's focused on outcomes. My dad's 83, my mom's 72. They're on this program. My dad has a diabetic. He has all kinds of problems. He's in some of the best health he's ever been in because of Medicare Advantage. And we're trying to make sure we strengthen that, right? And so these are some of the things that are going on. And when we crisscross the district, we hear about these problems, and then we take them back and try to fix it. Our philosophy is very simple. We're going to solve the problem for that one person who's having it. And when we solve it for that one person, we figure out how to solve it for a lot of people, all right? And if one person is having the problem, then thousands of people are having that problem. And so that's something that we spend a lot of time doing. But Washington, D.C. is indeed a circus, right? But some things are actually getting done. Let's talk about this SGR fix. Lifting the ban on exporting crude. Big deal. Nobody thought it was going to happen. This is going to make sure that we keep our economy strong here in South and West Texas. It's also a tool of our foreign policy. You want to put Vladimir Putin in a box? Sell energy to Eastern Europe, right? The Russians' economy is more dependent on the price of a barrel of oil than our economy. This is how we bring Vladimir Putin to bear. He is an adversary. He is not a friend. We can do that. We can play that role here in South Texas because we passed this bill. And before we passed lifting the ban on exporting crude, Henry Cuellar from Laredo, he also represents part of San Antonio, worked with the Department of Commerce to allow this thing called swaps, where we're able to swap oil between us and Mexico. Right? It made sense. Mexico is our partner in energy. We should be doing more with them. And Henry Cuellar and I, in a bipartisan fashion, sorted this out, and then we lifted the ban on exporting crude. We also, the Highway Trust Fund, funded that. The largest, longest amount in the last 2 decades. They're making sure that our roads, are in this decade, right? And that we can able to move commerce back and forth. These are big things. And if you have children, or grandchildren, or great-grandchildren, you should care about the Every Student Succeeds Act. This is an act that basically repealed No Child Left Behind. Both sides of the political aisle in Washington, D.C. thought No Child Left Behind was problems. Now, we passed a bill that says no longer do you have a one-size-fits-all solution to education. Right? And let me tell you why is that important. Y'all know best on how to educate your kids. Your principals, your superintendents know how to do that. And how you should do things here is very different than how you do things in Los Angeles. Right? And the reality is we have to educate our kids for jobs that do not exist right now. The technological change we're going to witness in the next 20 years is going to make the last 20 years pale in comparison. Last year in Texas alone, there were 42,000 computing jobs that went unfilled. The average salary of those computing jobs, $89,000. Texas only produced 2,100 computer scientists. Even worse than that, we only had 5,000 high school kids taking the computer science AP course. That's the course where you take it, you get college credit. Of those 5,000 kids, only 24% were girls. Less than 900 were Latinos or Latinas, and only 120 were African American. Right? Those are terrible numbers. We've got to make sure that we have science, technology, engineering, and math in our high schools. We got to make sure we have coding classes in our middle schools. And we're working on a couple projects where we get the private sector to help train existing teachers to offer some of these classes in middle schools and high schools, right? Because guess what? There's no such thing as a computer science high school teacher, just hanging out somewhere that we can pluck. We have to take existing teachers that may teach a period in computer science, train them, get the private sector to help with that, get the private sector to help with some of the tools, and then be there as a coach throughout the school year. And that's how we're going to solve this problem. Now, my heart was warmed last week. I was in Del Rio at a health fair, and this was Title I schools, some of the poorest kids in the state. I talked to 50 young girls, from 7th grade to 2nd grade. And I asked each one of them, what's your favorite subject? And all but 3 said math or science, right? It's awesome. Now we got to keep them excited about that. We got to make sure they're involved in programs like FIRST Robotics and things like that. And these are some of the projects that we're working on. So, it's an honor to represent y'all. And I'm going to stop there. I've talked too long. I apologize. And I'd love to take questions. Also, like I tell kids when I'm in the high school, I go into high schools, I would say I know what I know what I don't know, but what I don't know is there as well. And so I'm open to pearls of wisdom as well, if anybody has it. First question. Yes, sir.
Do you support Donald Trump and do you endorse him?
I have not endorsed Donald Trump, and I will withhold my endorsement.
Will you be endorsing?
I will withhold my endorsement until he proves he has a real national security plan and show that he respects minorities and women. There's a lot of his programs that I completely disagree with, like building a wall from sea to shining sea. It's the most expensive and least effective way to do border security. Right? He's not the first person to come with that idea. I've been talking about this since 2013, and this is something where we need to make sure our men and women in Border Patrol can adjust their tactics, techniques, and procedures as they see fit. Because what you need in San Diego, very different than what you need in Del Rio, Eagle Pass, or Harlingen. And we can't have a one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to border security by some bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. And we also need to have an intelligence-based targeting of those folks that are pressuring our border. There are 19 criminal organizations that are operating in Mexico. We should be focused on them, right? The narco-traficantes are making $50 billion a year in the United States of America. The U.S. intelligence budget is $50 billion, right? So we have to be smarter. Yeah, no, look, and that's why we need to focus on that. So that's my opinion on that. Yes, sir.
On the agricultural side,
Yeah.
farm programs and imports, exports. Anything coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, so the question is on Farm Bureau imports, exports, what's coming on the pipeline. So one of the things, I went to Texas A&M University. I was more the M than the A, right? But I appreciate the Farm Bureau, I appreciate the farmers and ranchers throughout this district that have helped educate me on agriculture issues, because these are huge in our district, right? Having a secure food supply is a national security issue. And so when it comes to imports, exports, there's elements within the TPP, which is a trade agreement that's being negotiated or has been negotiated. There's some elements there that I think a lot of folks within your organization are supportive of. Whether that vote happens this year, I'm unsure of that. The one thing that we do know is we're not going to open up the farm bill. Some of the crop insurance was trying to be changed to the detriment of farmers, and we stopped that from happening. Especially Mike Conway, chairman of the Agriculture Committee, who's also a Texan. But this is an important issue, and we got to make sure that we continue to protect and support our farmers and ranchers.
And one more item.
Yes, sir.
Waters of the U.S. Waters of the U.S.
Yeah.
And EPA.
Yeah, waters of the U.S. And the overreach by the EPA. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist. There's probably plenty in this room. But waters of the U.S. trying to put federal regulations on a dry creek bed or an indention in the land, it's just absolutely crazy, right? And is the economic impact this is going to have to our farmers and ranchers is going to be higher cost of meat, dairy, vegetables at our grocery store. It's horrible. It goes against property rights, and where that is now. So the House has passed legislation curbing this new interpretation of what is indeed a water of the U.S. There has been a legal case. Many states have sued the executive branch on this. There was a stay issued to the implementation of the waters of the U.S. rule from the EPA is in a timeout, and this is going to ultimately probably go to the Supreme Court. How the Supreme Court rules, I've learned not to try to handicap that, but also dependent on who the next administration is and who the next head of EPA is can determine how this works. But it's going to be disastrous for our farmers and ranchers. And if it's disastrous for the farmers and ranchers, guess what? It's disastrous for all of us. Anybody who's living on a fixed income, when your price of groceries is going to rise up a lot, that's a problem, right? And this is where we have bureaucrats up in Washington, D.C. that are implementing some of these things that are impacting real Americans because they're not out here understanding what's really going on. But this is definitely something that we have, that we are following.
And Farm Bureau is at the very top of the list advocating for it. I mean,
Yeah, trust me. Y'all folks, we're definitely aware of y'all's opinion.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Congressman. Eagle Ford Shell, for a while, was booming, and our community was benefiting from that. Lots of jobs. Our tax revenue was high.
Yeah.
We went from maybe having property values of $300 million to almost $1 billion.
Wow.
that has been lost.
Yeah.
This year, we lost, we're actually losing $1.2 million actual revenue that comes into the county of Savannah. And of course, all the jobs have been lost. And that, much of it is due to the monopoly that the oil cartel, Saudi Arabians have. And, but what are we going to do? What type of political pressure? What else are we doing to I'm not saying necessarily to break that cartel, but to loosen that up so that the price of oil will go up.
Absolutely.
And we can get the jobs back in Zavala County, which is, and not only Zavala County, but all of South Texas, and throughout your district.
Great question. And this is why this issue is so important to this community. You know, everybody has to pay attention of what people are saying about energy policy, right? The first step was lifting the ban on exporting crude, right? That really is going to ultimately break the back of OPEC. What we need now is for administration officials, Department of Commerce, Department of Energy, working with some of our companies to go to Eastern Europe to negotiate some of these deals, right? And because some of these deals with foreign countries are done government to government. That's not really how we operate, but some of these folks need to see, you know, government officials there to negotiate some of these deals, so that we can make sure that we're starting to send our oil, our natural gas to these folks. Natural gas is another important piece, right? We got to be able to improve the permitting process to export natural gas. You know, the other thing we need to double down with Mexico. Mexico has a huge appetite for natural gas, right? And so we need to be making sure that we're solving that. Oh, and guess what? You know, not only does Mexico have it, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua. We have proven that when you decrease the cost of your light bill, you increase the cost of living. All right. So again, our energy policy is a tool of helping many of these other countries. And guess what? We're making sure our men and women are the ones that are employed. Right. So these are some of the elements that are already happening. And here's the reality. Lifting the ban on exporting crude has not changed the price. It's not had an immediate impact on the price of a barrel of oil. But what's happening is, as production declines, right, the demand, even if it stays steady, means it's going to increase. So you're going to see the price of a barrel creep up, right? And once the financial markets realize, it's like for us to meet that demand, it takes a few months to do that. That's when you can start seeing the prices come up. So this is something that I'm committed to, not only because of the tremendous economic impact that these things have, the energy sector has in our communities in South and West Texas, but because of our form of national security as well. So this, we're fighting for it. I represent about a third of the Eagle Ford Shale and half of the Permian Basin, all right? And we need to have somebody who's sitting in this seat that understands these issues because of the importance it is to all of our communities. Thanks for the question.
Here's an observation. I mean, this
Yeah.
will tie oil and cattle together, the agriculture part, but you just made a statement that, you know, your light bill goes up. When's the last time you seen your light bill go down? On a local level here, our cattle prices change on a daily basis. Right. Oil price about a barrel changes on a daily basis. I hadn't seen no change in much of the gas prices that sitting at the pump. I hadn't seen no change in the HEB sitting down there with the price of beef there. Well, their price is still sitting on the ceiling, but we're getting paid down here on the floor. And it's the cost to make that pound of beef go to the store. It's just,
Well,
it seems like everything's regulated to the business owner down here, not the middleman. The middleman's the guy who's taking all the profits, which happens to be corporations at this point in the world. You know, so I mean, where's the battle on that end?
Well, locally, I'm curious to know, you know, the specifics. But if you look across the state of Texas, look at other parts of the district with gas at about 198 in some places. That's a lot lower than it was a year ago. You know, there was times when, you know, it was $3. You know, it was costing $100 to fill up, you know, an F-150, right? And you can do that now for about 35, 40 bucks, right? So that delta has changed, right? Yeah, price of meat, you know.
I was trying to tie the two together.
Yeah,
Sorry,
absolutely.
it's not apples and apples.
But price of meat also is impacted by other commodities, corn, feedstock. These things are at actually an all-time high, which is impacting the price of beef as well. So all these things are interrelated. But again, if we improve our economy, if we sell more stuff, it's going to be ultimately better for everybody, right? Making sure we have an economy that's robust and it's not dependent on just one industry is something that we need to continue. And I'll end with this story, and then I'll take some questions. You know, Emily has private questions. We'll stay a little longer before we get on the road. We're ready to do 5 stops today, and so we can't be late. But when you know, I represent a 50-50 district politically, and I realized very quickly, no matter what you do, there's somebody in the district probably upset with you. All right, I'm tough. I can handle it. I got thick skin. I'm just worried about when the nasty ads about me come on television, my mom sees them, because she's not going to react as diplomatically to them as I will. But it really, you know, I've been critical. I've been critical of the organization I'm now a member of, right? And early on in my time in Congress, I was supposed to give a tour of the Capitol, and I had never given a tour of the Capitol. So I thought this would be a pretty crummy tour if I don't know what to show people. So I called the Capitol Visitor Center and said, hey, can you send me someone over and give me a quick hour tour, just the highlights. Right? They sent a young lady over, 67 years old. I've been doing tours for 17 years, and the first hour goes by, the second hour goes by, 3.5 hours later, she has me standing tall. Right? My chest is out. She had taught me that I was one of 20,000 people who would ever serve in Congress. That's a freshman class at Texas A&M, the University of Texas. She taught me I was connected to people like Sam Houston and Abraham Lincoln. And that I was part of an organization that for 240 years has been exporting democracy all over the world. Right? Now, Congress has a long way to go to repairing the trust of the American people. But just know this, there's a handful of us up there in Washington, D.C. fighting every single day in order to earn y'all's respect and to earn y'all's trust. So I want to thank y'all for the honor of letting me represent you. And I want to say God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank y'all.